Tonight, a jury continues to deliberate, trying to decide if a Burlington man will be sent to prison for his wife's murder. NBC5's Sid Boulay is live at the courthouse in downtown Burlington with more on what the jury needs to consider in the case of Ida Gurung. Sid.
Brian, today was the first day of deliberations for the jury. Most of it was spent behind closed doors, but they did spend multiple hours reviewing witness testimony over the past few weeks. Now, we took a deeper look today into what each side of the case needed to present in order to convince the jury to make a decision.
I can't really remember any other cases that were quite like this.
Ida Gurung's case coming to a close as the jury works to decide if he was insane at this crime scene in 2017.
I pulled the hammer back and told him, I don't care what language you speak, this thing will kill you. Put it down. And he did.
He's accused of killing his wife, Yogeswari Khadka, and attempting to kill his mother-in-law, Tulasa Ramal, with a meat cleaver.
They have to put their emotions on the shelf during deliberations.
The jury will look at it, and they won't have any difficulty here, I'm sure, finding he committed the crime. He doesn't dispute that.
Attorney Jerry O'Neill says the question now is whether or not Gurung was insane at the time.
And you don't do the kind of things he did unless you've got something mentally going on with you. The question is whether or not he meets the legal standards of insanity, and that's what the jury will have to decide.
O'Neill says normally the government must prove a case beyond a reasonable doubt, but this case is different.
In this instance, they undoubtedly have proven, I don't think it was contested, that he committed the crime beyond a reasonable doubt.
Now, the defense must prove Gurung more likely than not was insane when he committed that crime, meaning the crime was a result of mental disease or defect.
Or that they lacked adequate capacity either to appreciate the criminality of their conduct or conform their conduct to requirements of law.
Forensic psychiatrist Thomas Powell says that will be difficult for the jury to decide in the, quote, horrific case.
In this case, a murder, almost two murders, and the jury has to untangle the facts of the case and try not to be overly persuaded by the gruesomeness of it all.
The jury has seen numerous witnesses, including members of Gurung's family, his former doctors, and forensic psychologists. If they find him guilty and insane, then he will be under the care of the Vermont Department of Mental Health.
So he would not be held in a prison. He would be held in a locked facility to protect him and to protect others, and he would not be released from there until it was reasonably likely that he would not be a danger to society.
O'Neill says there's no telling when that would be.
That could be the day after the verdict. It could be 20 years from now.
However, if Gurung is found guilty and was not insane at the time of the crime, he will remain in jail until his sentencing. Now, a verdict could be reached as early as tomorrow morning, and we'll continue to update you as we learn more. Live in Burlington, Sid Boulay, NBC5 News.